everyone, welcome back to the kitchen. Today we've got a special treat. We're going to be making this delicious chicken and apple breakfast sausage. And really, I say breakfast, but it really is good for any time. We're going to be using a meat grinder that was sent to us, and we're going to use that to prepare our sausage filling, and it's going to be amazing. I can't wait to show you how this all comes together. Today we're going to be making some chicken and apple breakfast sausage, or really just chicken and apple sausage. This is great to use for breakfast. We're going to just patty it up. We're not going to be putting it in a casing. I just want to make this as simple as possible. You can even leave some of it bulk and freeze it and then patty it up as you need it. You can make this into a great chicken and apple sausage burger. This sausage would be great browned up and then added to your favorite stuffing recipe. And I think there are a lot of possibilities here. Before we go any further, I want to say thank you to the good folks at Ultra for sponsoring today's video. They've provided us with this meat grinder to get us going, and so that we could do this demonstration for you. If you are interested in having an electric meat grinder, this has 3 speeds, stop, go, and reverse. It comes with 3 separate blades, coarse, medium, and fine, and it also comes with a sausage stuffer and a kube attachment, but I am not sure what that is. I've never had that. If you know what that is, let me know down in the comments below. But we're going to be using this particular machine, which I find to be super affordable, and want to thank them for sending it on to us so that we could play with it for a little while. But we're going to be making our chicken and apple sausage today. And what that entails is I'm going to just tell you guys, these are relative kind of measurements. I'm going to write it all down for you so you can print it out and you can do exactly what I'm doing here today. If you don't have if you don't have the meat grinder like this, or you could do it with a hand meat grinder, you could do it in your food processor. You're just going to have to do it a little bit differently. So we're going to start off with 2 chicken breast halves. These are all boneless, skinless. I have 6 boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I have cut these into strips because it's easier for the meat grinder to receive them that way. I have 2 pink lady apples that I peeled, cored, and diced, and 1 medium sweet onion, and I put that in a saute pan with 4 tablespoons of butter, and I just sauteed everything until the onion was just barely translucent. I don't want to cook these to a mush. I don't want to cook these to an applesauce. I want them to have some texture so that when we stir them into our sausage mixture later, it will be evident that there is apple and onion in here. We're going to season this up with, I have a tablespoon of cracked black pepper, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of kosher salt. Don't skimp on the salt. This is a sausage. It's important for a sausage recipe to have salt because the salt helps with the emulsification process. Later, after we get all of this ground and mixed up, we're going to stick it in the mixer with the seasonings and some ice water, and that's going to help reach emulsification so that your sausage has the texture of sausage and not just the texture of ground meat. And then we're also going to add 2 tablespoons of poultry seasoning and 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Of course, you can adjust this. You can use red pepper flake here if that's what you like, smoked paprika. You decide the heat level for your particular version of this sausage. We're going to get ready to start grinding our meat. This will be the first grind. I'm going to grind it twice. I'm going to start with the coarse grinding blade, and that's already in the machine. And then it also came with a medium and a fine grind blade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind it once with the coarse, and then we're going to run it through again with the medium because we don't want it to be so like super chunky. Sausage is supposed to be somewhat fine, and I may run it through a 3rd time. I'm not sure. I'll determine that later. One of the major secrets to grinding your meat is making sure it's super cold. So I've had my chicken in the freezer, but not to freeze it. We don't want to freeze it. We don't even want it to get a little bit frostbitten. We just want it to be super cold. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn on my machine. And then we're going to start feeding our chicken into the machine. I'm just gonna turn that very loud machine off for a second. I wanna just have you look at that nice grind on that chicken. Now, I was feeding it in like a handful of the thigh meat and a handful of the breast meat alternately just to get it good and mixed up. But keep in mind, we're gonna be throwing this into the mixer anyway. And now that I'm looking at this chicken, I may not actually put this through a second grinding. This actually looks really good as far as texture. And because it's chicken, it's probably going to fuse together anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish grinding this and I'll be right back and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, we got our meat is all finished and I have it in the freezer, and I wanted to show you how easy it is to take this apart. It's just as easy to put together. Before we start taking it apart though, I'm gonna unplug it, just a helpful reminder. So here's our plunger. The tray just lifts right off. I'm gonna go ahead and unscrew the base here on the front, and then we can take out our blade and our grinding, I don't know what that's called, plate. Yep. And then you can pull out the auger. And then this little tricky thing, if you want to take this portion off, you have to push this down first, and then it will allow you to remove it. These all need to be washed by hand. They do recommend that they don't go in the dishwasher, and that's fine. You're gonna wanna make sure that you allow them to air dry so before you put them away. So this is ready to be put away. I'm gonna go ahead and wash all these by hand. In the meantime, I've put my ground chicken in the freezer, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna proceed with making our sausage. Okay, we've moved on to the next step. Now, I've had my ground chicken in the refrigerator for about an hour, and we are getting ready to go ahead and do the mixing part now. If you have a stand mixer, that's awesome. You can also mix this by hand in a big bowl. Just put on a pair of gloves, and you're gonna wanna mix this together really well for about 10 to 15 minutes. You want full emulsification here. You want it to bind together, and you'll know when that happens because there'll definitely be a difference in the texture. So what we're gonna do is I went ahead and I put the chicken in the bowl already. We're gonna go ahead and add our apples and onions. Now remember, I sauteed these in advance in a little bit of butter just until the onions were translucent. We didn't want to take any of the texture away from the apples. Now, you can also choose to grate the apples if that's something you prefer to do, and that's entirely up to you. We're gonna go ahead and add in all of our spices. There goes our sugar, our cayenne, and our poultry seasoning, our cracked black pepper, and our salt. Now we're gonna go ahead and mix this together, and then we're gonna add some ice water. You can definitely see how the texture has changed. The meat is starting to bind with those apples. And I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna add a little bit of ice water. That was about a half a cup. And you're gonna wanna let this mix for a good long time, 5 to 7 minutes if you're using a stand mixer like I am. If you have a different brand of stand mixer, same thing goes for that. But you can definitely see how, I'm gonna take this off real quick just because, and I also see some spices here on the top that didn't fall quite in. You can see how this meat mixture is starting to look different. Now the fats from the chicken thighs and the chicken breasts are starting to emulsify with the apples, the onions, the spices, and the little bit of butter that we put in there. Now you can also, if you like to have a higher content of fat in your sausage, you can put chicken skin in here and just run it through the meat grinder when you grind up all your meat. But you want to make sure that it's super cold and almost partially frozen. So I'm gonna just go ahead and keep running this for about 5 minutes, and I'll be back and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, our sausage blend has been mixing for about 7 minutes. And one of the reasons that you'll know that it's done is you can definitely see a texture difference. You see how smooth and creamy it almost looks? That's exactly how you want it to look. Now, if you were to pick this up in your hand, which I'm not doing right now, but I'm putting it on this silicone spatula, it's sticking, and that's exactly how you want it. It's nice, it's compact, it's creamy, it's emulsified, and everything is ready to go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove it from the bowl. I'm gonna bring over a frying pan and the induction burner, and we're gonna fry off a couple of these patties so you can see what they look like, and so that we can give them a taste.
If I have to.
You have to. Okay, I went ahead and I started frying up about a half a dozen of these so we can give them a taste. Now these have brown sugar in them, and then they have apples, which also contain sugar. So you don't want to put this over super high heat. You want to put this over like a medium high heat. And I'm going to turn mine down right now to about, on this induction burner, I'm going to go up to about 330 degrees. You want them to brown nicely on both sides, but you also want them to be completely cooked all the way through. And that would mean that your sausage reaches an internal temperature of 165 degrees. That's how much you always want to cook your chicken to. So, over here I've got 3 more on this pan, but I went ahead and I pattied up all the sausage. And I layered it in here. And I've just lined it with parchment paper. And I kind of made a mess, but that's okay because once this is frozen, that parchment's going to peel right off, so I'm not too worried about it. And once these are frozen solid, I'll be able to go ahead and pop them into some Ziploc bags, and then we'll be able to take them out as needed. We can cook these directly from frozen by popping them in a hot skillet with a little bit of water, put a lid on it, let them steam until they're thawed, and then you can take the lid off and allow them to brown and flip them often so they brown evenly on both sides.
That smells really good.
It smells amazing. So let's see what this looks like. I may have had my temperature up just a little bit high, but again, these also do not have a lot of fat in them. If you want to add a little more fat to your chicken sausage, like I said earlier as we were grinding this, you can add some chicken skin in here, or if you so desire, pancetta or smoked bacon. But you want to go easy if you use smoked bacon because you want to make sure that you're not overpowering the flavors that you're developing in here. So then all your chicken sausage is going to taste like is bacon sausage. So we don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let these brown a little bit more. If you want to add a little bit of oil to the pan to give that a little bit of unctuousness so that it doesn't over brown, and we'll be back when these are ready to taste. Okay, these took about 5 to 7 minutes. I'd say about 3.5 to 4 minutes on each side, really. And then, as you can see, my pan got good and brown, but I did test these with a meat thermometer, and they are ready to consume. So I'm gonna go plate these up, and then we'll be back, and we'll give them a taste, and I can't wait. Well, here is our chicken and apple sausage, and I'm very excited to taste it. Mm-hmm. You?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It smells really incredible, and it looks amazing. So let's see. I'll let you guys see the inside. You can see the chunks of apple and onion in there. It looks amazing. Okay, baby, ready? Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Oh, that's delicious.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you did.
Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Mmm. Wow.
Nice alternative to pork.
You guys, this is so good. This reminds me, you know, you could even sweeten this with a little maple syrup. If you are on a sugar-restricted diet, you can use that Swerve brown sugar in place of the regular brown sugar that I used. There are a lot of possibilities here. You can season this up any way you like. Just because I used apples and warm seasonings.
Just a touch of heat.
I did put a little cayenne pepper in there, so. Yep. You can make this Italian flavor. You could make this Mexican style. You figure out what you want best and then take it from there. The tips are make sure the meat is cold when you run it through the grinder. Make sure that everything is cold. And when you go to mix everything together in your mixer, make sure you add just that little bit of ice water so that everything becomes emulsified and you're good to go. I want to thank the folks at Altra for sending us that meat grinder to test. If you're interested in obtaining one for yourself, I'm going to leave a link down below. You can go to their Amazon page and check it out. It does have a couple of points I wanted to just make for you guys in case you were interested. That grinder worked superbly, in my opinion. I was really very impressed with it. And being able to play with things like that and then presenting them to you is always a lot of fun for me. So I want to thank them for sending that to me. But that has a copper motor, and it makes for super fast grinding, and it has a variety of blades and coarseness plates for you that you can use depending on your needs. It's just super easy to use, and it was super easy to wash. Just make sure you allow those pieces to air dry before you put them away. That would be it. If you use the link down below, you're going to get a special discount that's only available for a limited time. So be sure, if you're interested, to go and check it out now. So that's all the skinny on the meat grinder, and this is how you make chicken and apple breakfast sausage that you can try for yourself. Remember, you don't have to have a meat grinder to do this. You can do this with a food processor. You're just going to need to take a very light hand, because the food processor is literally going to puree that meat, and you really don't want that. So you want to make sure your meat is partially frozen, so that you put it in there with the blade and that you pulse it until it comes to the right consistency, and then you can move on. So that's it. I hope you give this chicken and apple sausage a try. I hope that you will check out the meat grinder if you're interested in having one of those in your kitchen. And I hope you do it soon, and I hope you love them both. And until next time, I'll see ya.